Hi, welcome to KoKo's World, where we dive deep into knocking life the F out. I'm your host, Carlisha Stokes. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of KoKo's World. It's your girl Carly, and I'm so excited for us to do a solo episode of me and you and talk about something that is very near and dear to my heart, and that is therapy. I kind of wrote a journal entry that I feel like is very prominent for me to share with you all, and then we can dive into it. So, today's conversation is about therapy. The conversation I wish someone had with me years ago. I will share that I am a person that has been involved in therapy for most of my whole entire life. I think I had my first therapy session at 6, and I'm now 30. So therapy has been a huge part of my life. Um, but let's talk about it. So, do you ever sit with yourself and wonder, is this just who I am, or is this who I became to survive? Yeah, that's the kind of question therapy helped me find the courage to ask. And it's weird, right? Like, we always think, oh, you have something mentally has to be wrong with you for you to go to therapy. But also, the healed you can also go to therapy to stay healed. Therapy used to feel like this for me, like for people who are really good through going through it, like you had to be falling apart to even consider going. But now I see it so differently. Therapy isn't about being broken, it's about being brave enough to want better. So today, I want to have a conversation with myself and also with you guys. Honestly, not, scripted, just completely candid about therapy, what it has taught me, what it has made me confront, how it has helped me heal in ways, and how I have accepted that in some things I probably will never fully heal from, but how I can accept those things and walk every single day courageously. And also how it has helped me find who I truly am authentically at the core, underneath all the things that I've buried on top of it to try to suppress who I truly am as a person. And why, even when it's uncomfortable, it is still worth it. Therapy is still worth it. I don't care who you are. If you don't have insurance, a lot of therapists do not even accept insurance. I genuinely, for your mental health and your longevity of being the best version of yourself, I would place a budget within yourself to afford therapy. So yeah, we're gonna talk about my first session and then dive into like where I'm at now. So I shared that my first session was when I was 6 years old. I don't think I've ever talked about my parents. I know that I've discussed my sister, but my parents got divorced when I was 5. I do not remember really anything of like living with both of my parents. Yeah, I have no recollection at all. And I actually have not started diving into learning about or allowing my brain to remember them being together until here recently. But 6-year-old Carly, I was having a really hard time, separation anxiety. Every time that they would take me to school, I would literally crash out. And when I mean crash out, like y'all, kindergarten year was rough. Like crash out to the point where my teachers would be like, okay, one of the parents have to stay with her all day. For her to even like for us as teachers to be productive with our class because Carlisha crashed out. Okay, I'm not even gonna lie to you. And so I ended up starting therapy and it was just color therapy where I would go talk to my therapist and she would ask me what color was I feeling. I tell people that now. Like that's never been in therapy and I will literally be able to work with like little kids on how they're feeling emotionally based off of just asking them, like, if you could pick a color in the crayon box, what color are you? Um, Never realizing that at 6 years old, how impactful that is now. So 6 year old Carly in therapy, doing color therapy, and a lot of days I would feel blue, I would feel black, and there would be very seldom days that I felt yellow or sunshine. Um, and the days that I got to spend with my grandmother and hang out at my grandma's house, I was always like sunshine because it gave me the fulfillment of family. It gave me the fulfillment of security. It gave me the fulfillment of everything's going to be okay, even though everything around you is shifting. We went from being a family that went to church every Sunday together. It was just me, my sister, my mom, and my dad. Um, we went to church every Sunday. Then we went to my grandmother's house and ate lunch. And then every holidays we were together, to literally my parents hating each other. I'm not going to say that they really hated each other, but that's how they pretended. Or I'm not going to say pretended. Like, they couldn't be around each other at all. Like, birthday parties for a couple years, I had two different birthday celebrations. Christmas, it was always split. And that is very traumatic, no matter what anybody has to say. That is extremely traumatic for a 4.5, 5 year old's brain to have to wrap around and accept. And I can't even imagine like the trauma that my sister also endured because she was 15, almost 16. Um, I think she was 16 because I remember my um sister's sweet 16 birthday party. My parents threw her a birthday party, and my dad DJ'd the birthday party. And I think that they were on their best behavior for that, and I think that they came together for the birthday party. But that's like the last memory I have. And then my mom chose to move us, like, it was like 45 minutes away from the town that we lived in and where my family was at. So that also was very traumatic. So during their like divorce, I endured therapy, and like it was color therapy. And then I don't remember having therapy again until middle school. And I say I don't remember having therapy again, but I remember like going to my guidance counselor and being like, I just need to color a piece of paper. And in the elementary school, my guidance counselor would literally print off coloring sheets just for me. And like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, they would allow me to decompress with just coloring pages. Um, and I journaled a ton growing up. I've always been a journaler. I've always been a person that needed to get my thoughts out. And I think that that also comes from my mom. We went from, she did not work, and then she was working all the time. My sister was in high school going through puberty and boyfriends and all that stuff. So I really didn't never have anybody to talk to. And being the youngest in the family, the baby, my voice, not gonna say it didn't matter, but it just wasn't important enough to be heard. So I didn't deal with therapy until middle school when I started getting bullied.
Hey guys, it's your girl Carly with KoKo's World, and I am calling all pet parents. Are you looking for the best high quality food for your fur baby? Look no further because Stella and Chewy has your back. From raw coated kibble to freeze dried raw meals, Stella and Chewy is packed with real, wholesome ingredients to keep your pup happy, healthy, and full of energy. And because I want your fur babies to enjoy the same top tier nutrition as mine, KoKo's World has partnered with Stella and Chewy for new customers and returning customers. For new customers, get 10% off your first order using Carly10, and returning clients get 5% off for your next purchase using Carly5. Give your pet the nutrition they deserve and save while you do so. head over to Stella and Chewy and make sure you use my code personalized for you through KoKo's World. Thank you all, Stella and Chewy, and thanks for always looking out for Sergeant and Ava.
And whew, we all talk about like how girls are just so mean and so ruthless. Well, I enjoyed it. Like, I went to a very rough middle school. Absolutely hated it. Sixth and seventh grade year. Well, sixth grade year wasn't so bad. Seventh grade year was the worst year of my life. Like, horrible. So, I yeah, that's the truth. I started back in therapy in seventh grade because I was getting bullied so bad, like so bad. I take mental health very serious. But to be honest, like I had really, really dark thoughts. Like I would on Sundays, I would literally start having stomach aches and everything because my anxiety was so bad that of how bad I was getting bullied. They would like literally corner me in the bathroom. They would if I was in the bathroom and nobody was in there with me, they would like shake the stall doors. If I was walking down the hallway, they would knock the books out of my hand. It was so bad. Like so, so, so bad. And every time I went to authorities, went to teachers, they were like, oh, unless you retaliate or unless you do something, we can't do anything. Like, what the fuck do you mean? Like I don't mean any harm, but I should not, you're here to protect me. I should not have to be sitting here talking about I need to retaliate on like 5 to 8 girls at one time for you to do something. And then for me to also get in trouble. So, the breaking point was I did do something. I ended up pushing a girl in the hallway and she claimed she fell and she bruised her arm because she ran into like the little door. And they tried to give me out of school suspension for 2 days. And my mom came up there and was like, I will literally call News Channel 7 and we have like months of proof that you all, have literally been neglecting Carly and she now has severe anxiety, severe stress, severe like depression, not wanting to go to school, not eating, being scared because of you all not doing your job. So, I ended up starting therapy again. And also there was some trauma that was going on inside my home. We did not know it at the time, but it was starting to be the signs of my sister experiencing mental health issues, severe mental health issues, and substance abuse issues. So that was also like a lot. My mom was dealing with my sister would have these moments of like locking us out of the house and throwing shit at us and us having to go and stay at other people's houses just to kind of wait until like she would come back down. And during that time, like I also was dealing with abuse at school. So I was never getting away from it unless I was with my dad or with my dad's family. So like girl, neurological stuff was on 1000, okay? And I was literally got to crash out again because Carly was, I didn't feel like I was strong enough for it. I was like, something has to give. And right now, nothing is giving. So I ended up starting therapy again through my school. God bless school counselors. Like, I highly, highly appreciate you guys. I don't feel like y'all are recognized enough for everything that you do. You're our advisors, you are our guidance, literally guiders, like and then on top of that, like still having to provide counseling services to students. It's just you wear a lot of hats. So thank you so much. But my guidance counselor in seventh grade, I started therapy with her and I would go twice a week. So I would go on Mondays and Wednesdays during lunchtime. I would eat my lunch in her office, and I would just talk to her about the things I was going through. And she used to always tell me, like, Carly, I really think that you should start journaling. I really think that you should get on some, medicine. And even seventh grade year old Carly was like, absolutely not. I'm not gonna have to be dependent of a pill to help me function in life when this is not a me problem. This is the people around me problem, and I need to figure out how to become adaptable to deal with the people around me. Either I need to learn how to have some tough skin. I need to learn something, but this is not. I'm not gonna get on a drug to have to realize that how to deal with other people. Granted, when I say that, I'm not saying that if you need medicine to help you function in the world or help you be a better person or help you be the best version of yourself, do that. I am not saying that I'm against that at all. Like I said, my sister has mental issues. We are going to talk about that in the next year, but my next school year, because that comes up. But she has to be medically, controlled. And I'm grateful for that. And I would never want anybody that needs those type of services to say that they don't need them. But I started realizing the pattern was I didn't have anxiety. I didn't have um, fear. I didn't live with a lot of things I was living with when I wasn't around those environments. So my issues were environmental depression, and I didn't feel like I needed medication for that. I felt like I needed to learn how to deal with it. So, I also was going through puberty, and I also was training for dance. I purposefully stayed at my dance studio for. I would get out of school at 3:15. I would be there from 4 to like 9 most nights, and I trained 3 nights out of the week. So it was just pretty much I had to deal with my home stress 2 nights of the week or the weekend that my mom had me, and then school stress every fucking day of my life. Right? So I absolutely hated the middle school I went to. I started therapy. She started helping me learn how to do like journal prompts of like writing. Probably not the best, but writing if I could retaliate, in what ways would I? And then I would have to read that to her. It wasn't ever like as violent as some of these kids be getting. It was more like I just wish I could beat that hoe's ass, like shit like that. Um, but I also was such a type A student. Like I've always been a straight A student. In high school I took honor classes. Like drama and fighting is not who I am, but I'm able to. Like, let's not get that twisted. I'm able to fight. I choose not to fight. But it came to a point where, especially whenever I was about to get in school suspension, I'm like, I should have just fought that bitch. Because at this point, I'm about to get kicked out of school for 2 days. And also, I'm not going to be able to be on student government. And also, my little Christian little church group that I'm a part of, I'm not going to be able to be a part of that. Like, I was really upset. And then my mom ended up saving me and was like, no, like, she's been coming to you guys for this long and you all have done nothing. And now you want to do something? Absolutely not. So, um, all of that went great. And then eighth grade year, my mom moved. So the summer of my seventh grade year, we moved and I joined a different middle school. Absolutely had the best eighth grade year of my life. Loved the middle school I had joined. It wasn't drama. It was like a fresh breath of fresh air, like to be honest. So eighth grade year, I moved schools. But guess what? My sister ended up getting institutionalized for her mental health. And 2007, 2008 time frame, like mental health is still a very fresh thing, like it should be fresh because I feel like everybody has some type of mental illness. But it is a fresh thing. And so when I was in 2008, 2007, like it was taboo. Nobody talked about it. Everybody was like, "Oh, you're just different," but like, "Oh, maybe you just have anger problems." Like that was the most of your mental health. And so my mom did not have anybody to turn to. She didn't have friends that understood because all of her friends were their kids were around my age because my mom, had my sister in high school. So my mom was kind of alone. And then on top of that, I come from a generation. I don't know if it's a black person thing or if it's just a generational thing, but it was like what happens in my house stays in my house. We do not discuss it anywhere else. So where I genuinely often felt inclined to tell my dad, I also didn't because I knew that they hated each other. I knew that my dad was not my sister's biological dad, and I was just like, you know what, I'm going to stay in a child's place. But that year is kind of when things just started like really going downhill for myself and my mom. And I also didn't want to add more stress to my mom. And I didn't want her to feel like she needed to worry about me. Like I've always been the kid where everyone's like, we know Carly's gonna make it. Like no matter if I don't know, like they both of my parents just feel like I'm like this macho woman, that I can save the world. And maybe God put me here for that reason. Maybe I am gonna save the world. I don't know. But like I felt like in eighth grade where, puberty is really starting to sink in. I'm starting to notice guys um, I'm having like small drama, but it's nothing serious. And I didn't have my parents to really talk to about things. Um, so I made sure to keep my grades great. And at the school that my mom moved me to, they had certified therapists. So they had certified therapists at the school. And I started therapy, like in-depth therapy. And when my sister came home from being institutionalized in a mental facility in my hometown, or she ended up getting sent away. It was like an hour and a half, 2 hours away. When she came home, oh, let me back up. We also at my fifth when I was in fifth grade, my sister had my niece. So that's when Khalees came about. And so once again, like now I'm in fifth grade. My mom's attention is to a newborn who's living in our house. And then we sixth, seventh grade year, we were dealing with a lot of behavioral stuff from my sister. And then my mom, we moved and my mom, was like, you need to find your own way in life. So my sister and niece moved out my seventh grade year, and my eighth grade year we moved to our new home. But then my sister ends up getting institutionalized. So during that time, I didn't want to add more stress, so I started going to therapy on my own in silence, and started navigating, the things that I was experiencing, the things that I was feeling. My anxiety had like went back down to like zero because once again it was environmental. My environment was better. I lived at home just with my mom. I went to school. I didn't have drama at the new school. I still danced. I was still with my dance friends, even though my next year I ended up leaving the studio out of Greer and moving to another studio. But it was like a breath of fresh air. Everything was going great. So then my therapist started talking to me about, how we can keep this peace and happiness because high school is going to bring its own bits of challenges. And yes, it did. So freshman year of high school, I started a new school again, new friends, new environment. Middle part of freshman year, I ended up getting jumped. And also, that is around the time where, puberty is hitting. I'm starting to like guys a lot. Life I thought was just I was living large, and when I got jumped, I realized like I was not living large at all. Um, I don't want to go into that story just because it is something that I've accepted and um not erased, but it's just a part of my life that I want to continue to be in my past. But I ended up, having an incident. And my parents really wanted me to like press charges, and I did, but then I ended up dropping those charges. And I had so many layers of things that was coming up for me again, just because I felt, a sense of guilt. A lot of things happened that night that um, also stripped away, part of my innocence. And it just was a lot. It was very heavy. My parents really didn't listen to me. I had lost friends. Also, some of these people went to school with me at that time. So they also kind of gathered their stories at school because I didn't go back to school until the Tuesday after. So everybody had went to school Monday. I went back to school on the Tuesday after, and that's when like the resource officer and everybody wanted to remove these people from the school, and I ended up dropping the charges because I didn't want any further issues. But people that I thought were my friends, they had kind of sided with them. It was just like very lonely, very lonely. And you know, the statement that I had put here is like you talk a lot about how people should show up, for you. And during that time, when my freshman year of high school, is when I realized that I have to show up for myself. Because if I don't show up for myself, the same cycle of my freshman year, of middle school, of getting bullied and not showing up for myself, of the trauma that I was experiencing at home and the stress it was bringing, not showing up for myself. So how many freaking times am I going to literally allow these cycles to repeat themselves and not show up for myself, you know? And to be honest, 14-year-old Carly did not know the answer to that. 15-year-old Carly did not know the answer to that. And it has taken a lot more years for me to find the answer to that. But I knew that that was the core of where a lot of my issues were coming from, is that I did not know how to show up for myself. And nor did I think it was appropriate for me to have to show up for myself because I was still a kid. But I did it. I started therapy. Well, I got a job, and um I worked at a gym, and this woman was a therapist at the gym that I worked at. And so she was trying to get her clinical hours. So I would literally go to work, and I would like be like, okay, I have to work a shift from 7 to 11, to close the gym. So she would come at like 6:30, and we would do 30-minute increments of sessions. And she did not charge me, and she gave me like pieces of the best advice that has stuck with me. And then on top of that, I stayed in therapy at my school. So my high school also had a certified therapist, and I I loved Miss Thompson so much. And one of the best lessons she taught me was, Carly, you're going to have to get a duck skin. And I used to be like, a duck skin? Like, what? And she's like, you know how ducks, like, water just rolls off their backs. I need you to also have water roll off your back. If it brings stress, let it go. If a friendship is not genuinely a friendship, let it go. And also, I'm a very loyal person, like loyal to the T. I will I will ride with you, especially if I love you, like we're going to war, okay? Um and I started realizing that I was loyal to a lot of people that weren't loyal to me, that was hurtful. I didn't like a lot of guys. Let me slow my roll there. I liked guys, and I was not aware that men only want one thing. And so when I started realizing that the guys only seen my body, but they didn't see me, I'm like, fuck you. I'm not. hooking up with you. I'm not talking to you. Like, that is fucking disgusting. And we're gonna go on about our business. So then obviously, to be honest, my senior year of high school, once I turned 18, I got started getting involved with older men, not like old, but in their 20s, because I felt like they were mature, they seen me for who I was, and also they had the means to be able to take me out versus these bogus guys that just were going to high school and really didn't know if they were going to college. One guy literally told me he wanted to meet my mom, and I let him meet my mom because like I had standards and I wasn't just over here like busting it open. So I had told my mom was like, so what's your GPA? And he was like, well, what's Carly's GPA? I've always had a 4.0 GPA. I went to college on an academic scholarship, right? And I took honor classes. He literally said his GPA was a 1.5. Sir, get the fuck out of my face. Like, goodbye. And that was the last time we talked. Because I'm thinking to myself, absolutely not. Like, let me get me a college bro, someone that, can at least take me out, has been in the industry for a little while, isn't just looking for some free ass, because it's just not it for me. But I digress, sorry. So I ended up high school started getting better. I started showing up for myself. I started accepting the concept of having adult skin. And then I would say, yeah, junior year was great. Senior year, I should have got therapy, but I didn't. I declined it. I was in a traumatic car accident. Traumatic. Like, there was no foul play. My friend was not, we were not drinking and driving. She was not texting and driving. It was just a rainy night. We went to our state championship game for high school, and um, I went head on to a tree. Head on into a tree. Um, I always like to think that we saved the guys' lives that saved ours. The guys have been drinking. Because we were in a college town, the guys have been drinking. They came running over whenever the accident happened. Um, the force shifted me, so literally my legs were around the tree of, um, yeah, that we hit, and I pulled my leg out. I opened the car door. The guy was like, let me help you out. He helped me out of the car. My arm just dropped, and I was like, something is wrong with my arm. I think it's asleep or something. Like I'm kind of out of it. I was like, but I will be fine. Just save my friends. So they got the driver out. They got her sister out the back, and finally cops get there, and literally they were like, we're looking for the passenger. I was the passenger. We're looking for the passenger. They called the dogs out. We're still waiting on ambulance. And then I was pacing, because when I'm nervous, I pace. So I'm pacing, and they were like, ma'am, we really need you to sit down. And I said, I cannot get my white pants dirty. So the officer's like, I need you to get in the backseat of my car, because like you're stressing me out. So the ambulance finally come, and they're like, we're looking for the passenger, so they started a search out in the field to find the passenger. I was the passenger. The After looking at the pictures the next day, I was in the hospital for 14 days. Was in critical conditions for I think 8 out of the 14 days, and then was in a regular room for 4 days. um Obviously, you don't see a scar here, but I did break my humerus. It was a clean snap, like completely. They don't even know how it didn't come out of my skin. But one, I know how, the grace of God. Two, I also think the leather jacket that I had, it was real leather. And my mom had got it for me for my birthday, literally in January, and this happened in March. The leather jacket held my arm together. But I did not have any bruises. I didn't have any, lacerations to my face or body from the airbags. Um, but yeah, it was very traumatic, very. when my dad brought me home from the hospital, a hour and a half drive, he said, ended up taking 5 hours because I would wake up out of my sleep and just scream in the car because I was so scared. I was scared, and then also it had been raining when he was driving. I don't remember going home at all. I don't remember going home. I just remember being at the hospital, and then I remember being home whenever I got home, but like I think that they had me on so many medications that I don't really remember it. Or it could just be, something that my brain has kind of once again pushed down. But I didn't get in therapy, and I should have, and I say I should have because I endured years of post traumatic syndrome. Like anytime it would rain, freaking the fuck out. Um, College was very rough for me because my friends would be like, "Oh, everybody get in the car. We're gonna, go to cookout and grab food." No, Carly's driving herself. Um, it would be a lot of like nights where my friends would be like, "Carly, like we're literally just going from one apartment to the next apartment. Get in the car," and Carly would walk because I felt safer on my feet than in another person's car, trusting that they were able to drive that car. So I really should have got therapy, but I didn't. I tried to be a badass and say, "Oh yeah, I'm good, I'm good," and really I wasn't. My senior year, the half of my senior year, I had a big competition coming up. My team was supposed to go to Worlds. I was not able to go. I had to watch virtually. I had to finish my half of my senior year homeschooled. I did get to go to prom, but I had to wear like my cast. And it was just a little piece that went right here. Thank God it wasn't the whole thing. But like still, every time I see prom pictures, I go back to those moments of yeah, I was in bad shape. I had just had an accident. Like also God really spared my life. And at that time I wondered why, like all these other people, are no longer here. Why me? But then I started realizing, like, Carly, you can't ask why me. You have a gift that, not saying that other people didn't have a gift, not saying that at all, but God, God's timing is the best timing, and we're not supposed to ask any questions. We're just supposed to live authentically in what we know best, and that's where I've accepted it. But I didn't get therapy, and then I jumped from that to freshman year of college, and I went through a very traumatic breakup. Very traumatic. And I'm not really ready to unfold that breakup in publicly yet, but just know it's very traumatic. And it took a piece of me that I didn't realize because like I shared before, I liked guys, but I wasn't out here with a lot of guys. So my freshman year lover was like the first guy that I truly gave my heart to, if that makes sense. And just robbed me, took advantage. So that's a story for another day. But after that, um, I started therapy. I really started true therapy, paying for therapy and investing in it after that situation. Because once again, I could not show up for myself like I needed to at that time. I was so confused of what love was that I couldn't even love myself. And um, therapy made me look myself in the mirror and just literally throw up everything about me. Everything. The things that I'm not even comfortable sharing with you guys. Like I had to regurgitate it, and it was hard. But it showed me that this is going to take work. And the things from even as a kid, 6-year old me, doing the colors, there were things that I still was holding on to, that I still needed understanding, that I still needed clarity and closure with. So, um, therapy, these are some notes that I wrote just because it'll keep me on track. But therapy showed me the habits I picked up to protect myself, but also the habits that I picked up to become the people pleaser, to fit in, and to be accepted in this world. Um, it showed me the fear of saying no because I thought love had to be earned, and I genuinely felt like if I can just be an endless water flow for people, an endless punching bag for people, an endless source of loyalty and constantly being there, even to my friends that are not great friends to me. Like, I still would bend over backwards like the fucking exorcist because I felt like my love had to be earned. So I would do any and everything to make that be granted. And it wasn't, it's not true, you know? Um, and then now,
Are you looking to level up your health game? Well, look no further. Supreme Nutrition has your back with clean, high quality supplements made to fuel your body and mind. From protein to recovery, every product is crafted to help you feel strong, energized, and unstoppable. Taste the difference and feel the results. Fuel your greatness with Supreme Nutrition. Reach out if you would like my special code just for you.
I will say 25-year-old Carly is the Carly that started to meet the version that existed before the world told me who I had to be to fit in. 25-year-old Carly. So 19-year-old Carly went through that heartbreak. I started going through therapy. I found my now wife. And life was challenging, but I wasn't in therapy because of her. And I knew that I needed to be the best version for myself to show up for her and vice versa. And um 25-year-old Carly was taking care of a kid. I was in grad school. I had a wife that, or a girlfriend at the time, who was in chiropractic school. I worked full time. I was the sole provider for my family of three. I really didn't understand how I had got to this place in my life, like, to be honest. I'm only 25 years old. And on top of that, we went through a pandemic, COVID-19. And I was scared out of my life. I worked in COVID. I was the operations manager for COVID for the state of South Carolina. So, um, literally, like, there was so much being asked of me. I put myself last. Like, literally, some days I only had 4 hours of sleep in 24 hours, 4 hours of sleep. And so, also, how I could dress, how I could talk, how I could be. The world was telling me these things. One, because my wife's parents are very conservative. And I grew up, my mom is not like provocative, but like she's a sexy woman. She likes to show some cleavage and she likes to show some legs. And I didn't grow up in a traditional household where the wife cooks and the husband takes out the trash and cut the grass. Like, both my parents did both of those things. Like, my dad can cook a fire meal. My dad knows how to go grocery shopping. My dad knows how to sew. My dad knows how to wash clothes. The same thing goes for my mom. So I grew up where in life, if I want a partner, I need to have a partner that is a partner that can bring is 50-50 to me, not somebody that is literally, taking, if I can just put that in the right way. So I was having a lot of people tell me, like, oh, to be the best wife, um, you're gonna have to show up in this way. To be the best mom, you don't need to be dressing, with shorts, booty shorts, going to a volleyball game. When literally that's what made me happy. And not saying I wanted to show a little ass cheek, but I didn't want to be sitting here looking like corporate Karen to go to a fucking volleyball game. But I was trying to play those roles to fit in because, one, who has a 25-year-old, I mean, who has a 15-year-old at 25, you know? And I, most women that are 25, they're just now starting to have a baby, you know, and I have a 15-year-old that I'm responsible for. So the world was telling me who I needed to be, what I needed to, um, what I wanted to see, who who I needed to be for them to accept me. And I got tired of it. 25-year-old Carly finally crashed the fuck out. And I did crash out. Like, crashed out hard. Like, 2 months crashed out. Like, you couldn't even say the word anxiety around me because it would put me in a complete panic attack. I'd never had a panic attack in my life, and literally I was having them every other day. Um, I begged my wife to put me in an institution, to be transparent, just because I was not healthy with my own thoughts, and I didn't feel safe enough to be home alone with my daughter and my dogs because I really didn't know where I was going to go, what I was going to do. And guess what? I called because I was an operations manager for the health system. So I knew a lot of doctors. I knew, and I had become great friends with a lot of them. So I called my great friend who's a psychiatrist, and we talked on the phone for 3 hours. I cried majority of the time, but he listened, and he nicely told me, he said, Carly, I don't think you need to be institutionalized. I think that you need to take ownership of your life, and you need to show up for yourself, and you need to be selfish, and you need to stop living for what other people want and start living for what you want, and stop giving a fuck about what people think of you, and stop bending over backwards for people who don't deserve you doing that for them. And I'm like, holy fuck, you're asking me to be selfish. And those are two things that are very foreign to me. I don't know how to be selfish. I don't know how to show up for myself. I don't know any of these things. Well, I have a great friend who's a therapist. I want you to start therapy. I started therapy, my wife started therapy, my daughter started therapy, and then on top of that, we had a couples therapist. Um and it was not easy. It was very, very hard. Probably I would say I started back feeling myself when I was 26 in 6 months. Like, it probably took me a good year and a half to really start grasping um and accepting the feelings that I was feeling. And during those times, I would remember like my sessions feeling so heavy. Honestly, felt like I had ran a marathon. A lot of the times when I would have therapy, I would schedule it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I would literally do nothing else the rest of the day. Now my therapy starts at the beginning of the week, at the beginning of the day, but I'm a lot healer. I'm a lot, yeah, I'm healed a little bit more as 30-year-old Carly versus 26-year-old Carly. Um, and then, I had to accept that healing doesn't always feel good. I'm going to have some sessions where I walk away feeling the strong as badass female that I am. And then there's other sessions where I'm like, okay, that was really heavy. But you know what? That heaviness does not define who I am. It actually is helping who I am grow. Um, so I just want to pause because I just went through 24 years of my life in like less than an hour. Um, and that's really heavy for me, but also it's my story. And I feel like part of healing is also sharing your story authentically and hoping that it can reach somebody. Um, so I take a breath right now and I say, here's my question for you if you're listening. What part of yourself have you been avoiding because you're scared it'll make you feel too much? Feeling too much sometimes can feel like we're a burden. It can feel like, we don't really know how to show up because we don't want to be that burden on someone. Feeling too much can be a lot of things of what silence us. And with the things that we feel like we can't talk about or that silence us, it causes us to spiral backwards. So I ask you, in confidence, what to ask yourself, What are the things that's making you feel too much? And what if feeling it is the very thing that sets you free? You know, freedom is the most beautiful thing. It is. I'm an Aquarius, and everyone says that Aquarius love freedom. And I think that I love freedom so much because I know how it feels. You know, I'm gonna say this really quick and then we're gonna go. When you, if you've ever been in a prison, I have. I've been in a maximum security prison before. Not because I've done time, but because I visit family. And when you hear the doors that close behind you, even though your body physically is free, it feels so shackling. It feels bondage. Going through those experiences reminded me of how important it was for me to save myself, because those feelings is exactly how I felt growing up, with so much heaviness on my heart, with so much identity crisis, with so much feeling like I had to live, I had to earn love by giving, 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 and not receiving, not pouring back into myself at all. I felt bondage. And when you are able to feel the sense of freedom, the sense of being authentically you and not giving a fuck about who judge you, what they have to say, whatever. When you can genuinely accept that, that's when you're actually free. So I used to think therapy would change me, but really it just uncovered me. It didn't change a single thing in me. Um, I'm so proud, and I told myself I wasn't getting emotional today, but I'm so proud of the girl I am now. And I'm so proud that I was so broken at 25, because I would rather be broken then and have so much life of freedom to live for the future than to literally live in bondage until 30, 40, 50. And then I've wasted all those years of genuinely not knowing my true self, not uncovering my true self, not living my authentic self, you know? So, um, so it really uncovered me. And I'm learning that that's enough. That's enough. That I'm enough. That, yeah, to some people, my personality is too big, but to my wife, I'm enough. To my family, I'm enough. To my daughter, I'm enough. But most importantly, I'm enough to me. So if you've been thinking about therapy, I genuinely think that you should consider it. Um, I don't think that therapy shows people that they're weak. I genuinely think that it's an inner strength of you choosing yourself and you finding yourself. And if you're already on the journey of therapy or on the journey of finding your therapist, I see you. Give yourself time. Like I said, therapy started when I was 6 years old, and I've had a whirlwind of different therapists. And even at 25, I had 4 sessions that I paid for until I found Heather, my therapist. And then unfortunately, Heather and I had outgrown Heather's method of therapy. And so I now have Liz, and Liz is the best friend a girl could ever have, number one. And number two, we are now working on true depth of therapy. I'm under a program called ART. It is amazing. If you've never heard of it, please look up the acronyms. It is transformative. And I'm so grateful that we are working on it, because I'm learning deeper things about myself that I never have. And I also have a life coach, and they work very, hand in hand together. So if you're on the journey, I see you. I'm proud of you. The first step is always the hardest step, but once you take that step, it is immense freedom when you go along. And I ask you to give yourself grace whenever you have those hard moments. Give yourself grace. I'm going to encourage you to keep going. And I'm going to say, the version of you you're becoming is so proud of you starting. I love you guys. I hope that you all know that you are so loved. And thank you so much for allowing me this space, even though it's my show, to be so vulnerable and honest about my journey with therapy, because it has saved my life and I hope that it can save you. So remember you're loved and have a great day.